It's a blessing to welcome on one of the newest members from Nebraska, former Xavier player, and I Simeon Wilcher. How you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. How about you?
Pretty good. Kind of take us through this. We know now your freshman year is in the book. You still do have 4 more years of eligibility remaining, but kind of take us through this. Like, take us through your freshman season and kind of how you feeling right now.
I feel great, man. Just ready for the next step in my journey. Honestly, just working out every day, just getting better. But recapping my freshman year, I thought my freshman year went pretty well. In terms of like my growth as a person and a player. I went through some bumps and bruises, learned a lot about myself as a player and as a person. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I mean, you go through things in life that you just take on as learning, as lessons, and continue to grow from there. So that's how I say my freshman year.
And obviously, you have a big move now. You go to Nebraska, but kind of take us through this move. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a new era in Nebraska. It wasn't the best year for Coach Hoiberg's first really full year, but he's got a whole recruiting class. He's got a 5-star in Bryce McGowens. He's got you coming in. He's got Will, another top 100 type of guy. There's a lot of hype kind of building around this. We see Coach Hoiberg. We know how great he can be. Kind of take us through this. Like, how excited are you, and how did Coach Hoiberg win you over?
I'm extremely excited. Like you said, those guys are they're coming in, and I know from my standpoint, I'm just ready to work and win some games, compete at a high level. So I'm extremely excited on that point. But the reason why Coach Hoiberg in Nebraska won me over, honestly, they were recruiting me out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were top contenders and probably my top two when it came to decision time. But I just like Coach Hoiberg, his system, his coaching style, and things like that. I mean, I've had a good relationship with Coach Matt. He was recruiting me at St. John, so there's a sense of comfort there. And like I said before, his play style and the way the team he runs the team, I think I fit really well and it fits my skill set. So.
And we know the biggest thing is that Coach Hoiberg has done it at multiple levels in his career. Ultimately played in the place you want to go. Now he's also coached at the place you ultimately want to be someday. But that's in the NBA. And he's mostly known for one thing that really is your biggest thing too, and that's shooting. Take us to that. Like, how much of an appeal was that? Just talking to him, knowing that he's done what you really want to do. He's made a living off of becoming a great shooter. How big was that for you?
I mean, it's huge. To have somebody who's played at that level, coached at that level, been involved at that level for 19 years of his life. Is big, and like you said, he was a shooter. So like I'm excited to pick his brain. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he'll give advice and tips on my shot to improve it. So I'm just excited for that process.
We're gonna get back in Nebraska in a little bit, but I kind of want Nebraska fans to be able to learn a little bit more about you, besides just ultimately what you've done on the court. And so let's kind of go back. You're from New Jersey, obviously. Take us to that. You're originally part of St. Benedicts, but you go for your freshman year. Take us to that move and why you want to start your career out there.
The reason why I wanted to start off my career at St. Benedict's was because, one, since I was 9 years old, I was infatuated with St. Benedict's. I've always wanted to go there. I used to go to a bunch of their games growing up. So it was kind of like my dream school, somewhere I just wanted to be and be a part of that culture. And then once I was there, I just loved everything about it, the basketball part of it, the school part of it, the environment, and things like that. So.
Now, we do know that's one of the more historic schools out there. We know there's a lot of things. And one thing I want to touch upon, first of all, is we got to see about a year ago now, a documentary came out about you guys, and Steph Curry produced it. It really kind of brought insight into it. Obviously, this is different. We know this whole prep world is a whole new thing. They're one of the more first schools to really start that kind of up, and they have countless NBA players. But it's also a unique place where you guys obviously develop off the court as well. It's big premises of what it is like being there. Take that the biggest thing, like off the court wise, how did that help mature you and make you into the guy you are today?
I mean, I believe it had a big impact on the type of person I am right now. I mean, in terms of leadership and character, because it's a student-led school. So you pick up traits, you learn things from previous leaders, you learn things from the staff and faculty members that you could just take on as being a leader. I think the biggest thing that St. Benedict's taught me two biggest things that St. Benedict's taught me was being selfless and not only caring for myself, but also not putting my own priorities to the side, and also leadership. When I was there, I was the assistant group leader because St. Benedict's, we were broken down into groups. So I was assistant group leader. I was the captain on the basketball team. So those traits I picked up and carried on through my life. It's actually who I am. You know what I'm saying? So it taught me a lot.
And they're really afraid that they go by because obviously it's an all-guys school. And one of the phrases you guys talk about is whatever hurts my brother hurts me. Kind of gets you a little bit deeper in that though. Like, how do you guys see that apply to you guys throughout the school day? Like, how's that kind of ingrained into you guys?
It was ingrained into us because, like you said, it's the school's motto. You know what I'm saying? It's how we carry ourselves every day. And to go back to my point, St. Benedict's taught me how to not only focus on myself. You know, whatever hurts my brother hurts me. So whatever my brother goes through, I go through it with him. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to carry each other and get through tough times and celebrate when we're going through good times. So
Ultimately, we know that this is a documentary you guys being followed around throughout the course of the season. And not a lot of people obviously knew that, but take us through what that was like, just having cameras kind of follow you guys around throughout the course of a year. Like, what was that like?
at first it was kind of weird because I never had cameras in my face, especially like movie production cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as time went on, it started to get really close with the guys behind the camera, so it became more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a little like nerve wracking to have cameras in my classes and like I'm doing presentations and the camera's on me. I'm trying not to mess up, but then, like I said before, I got comfortable and that whole process went well.
On the court, though, there is a huge thing where you come in as a freshman and you see that there's all these top players around you. You've got countless guys that some of them already in the NBA, like Precious is, another guy last year is dominating out there at the college level. That's not easy, though. A lot of guys like going to freshman year and dominating wherever they want to go. You got to take a little bit of role. You have to play and kind of work your way into that star role. What chose you to kind of lead you to accept that role? Like, why did you want to go to a place where you weren't going to be a star right away?
Um, I didn't necessarily see it as that. I mean, my whole life has been a process. Like, and I've embraced my process. I've never been the guy who's super hyped. Never been the guy who always got things handed to me. So I've always been a grinder. That's just what my family thrives on. That's just what I was brought up to, like, to be about. So I didn't necessarily go into it as like, oh, I'm not going to be the star guy, so I'm going to go somewhere else. And also, like, I went there 8th grade, so I was practicing with the varsity team, and I built relationships, understood the system and things like that. So my experience going there was my freshman year was good. I actually transferred a couple times in high school. I transferred my freshman year. I transferred from St. Benedicts to St. Pat's, and I spent the year there where I played with Nick Richards and Jameer Harris and Jordan Walker, just to name a few. But that experience in itself was good because I also played with another NBA guy, and I get to learn from them and pick their brains. I also played for a great coach in Christian Van. So that year helped my basketball IQ. And then me going back to St. Benedict's end of my sophomore year and my whole junior year, where I was one of the main guys my sophomore year, and growing into being the main guy my junior year. I mean, that's just been the process, you know. It's just been the grind out process. It's becoming a guy on a team, you know, like somebody who's the focal point of what's going on, you know. So it's just been a grind process for me.
When would you say it clicked for you? Like, when did you start realizing, okay, I can be an elite player? I'm not just a guy who's a good high school guy, but I can make it to the college level. And I'm not just that, but I also can be an elite guy at the next level. Like, when did that start clicking for you?
I don't think it ever was a point where I didn't think I could be one of the top guys. There's never a point where like I was like, yeah, this isn't like I'm not capable of doing that because, like I said, I've always worked. So like the work never failed me, and so like I just grinded out everything, and I would say kind of like I guess my sophomore year was when I ended like the end of my sophomore year, like the second half of my sophomore year at St. Benedict's was kind of where I started to take another leap into my game. Just being more in control of everything, my mental, physical, and it just helped my output on the court. So I wouldn't say there was a point where I was like, all right, I could be really good because there wasn't a point I thought I wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be cocky or anything. I just was never. I just always worked. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's just who I am. So I just thought that the work was just going to pay off and showcase itself.
Maybe one of the biggest things in terms of development for you is maybe let's look at some of the names you play with throughout high school. You played Precious in the NBA, one of the faces of Miami's future. Played North American, obviously Division I player. Lester, going to be soon NBA player. Played with Cliff, a guy that's at Rutgers. I mean, this list goes on. Corey, I mean, your brother even. I mean, this list goes on as guys that have been elite in your circle playing with you, club teams. The list goes on. What was it like just playing with these guys?
I mean, it was great, you know, because a lot of times they made my life a little easier. You know, like having those guys that teams couldn't double team me or just only factoring on me because they have other dudes on the team, like other guys who can impact the game in numerous ways. So in that aspect, it was really good for me. But in terms of like those guys, everybody you named were great part. Outside of basketball, they're great guys. You know what I'm saying? They're people who are striving for the same things as me. So it's like it was an experience in SchuZ, like you said. Precious, who's in the league. I played with Nick Richards, who's in the NBA. So being around those guys and seeing their day-to-day lives and how they went about things back then kind of just helped me like see it firsthand, you know.
Out of all those guys you play with, like who would you say has been the guys kind of been a mentor for you to a degree, kind of helped you through the process the most?
I guess I would say my brother
Mm-hmm.
do the most because like he's one of the reasons why I grind every day. You know what I'm saying? I have to lead by example. I lead verbally with him. I work out with him. You know what I'm saying? He's part of my motivation. So I would say it wouldn't necessarily say he gave me insight on things or like gave me any advice, but it would be more so like he's part of my why. You know what I'm saying? Is why I get up and do what I do every day, you know.
For a guy like Precious, obviously, a guy can be as high ranked, but you never know what's going to happen in terms of long-term potential. Anything could happen. But when you're around him, just being around him constantly through practices, seeing him in games, did you start seeing him as a potential NBA player? Like, what was this like being around him and his mentality as a high schooler?
Well, I've known Precious since he came here. Shoot, I've actually played against him one of his first games here in America. So I know Precious for a long time, but just watching him as a person, he's super like humble. Like he could be a guy who be head over heels over self and you know what I'm saying, be selfish and things like that. But that's not him at all, you know. So that's one thing I took from him, like just being selfish and just being a humble dude. Because it's not, I don't necessarily think it's cool to be cocky or anything, and I don't think he does either. But like he's a grinder as well. Like you got like being around somebody who's at that point, like at that time when I was playing with him, like I wasn't ranked or anything. I don't even think I think I had like 2 offers, and he was top 10 in the country and still working just as much as I was. You know what I'm saying? So that in itself is just motivation. And we go back to the point where I said the work always shows that work never gets pushed under the rug. So and he was a walking example of that.
There's another guy you ended up playing with your senior year that it's not obviously a lot of different players, but it kind of played a similar role in terms of that power forward, center kind of guy that can do it all, kind of defend all that, and that's Cliff as well. What are the similarities between Precious and Cliff, and how did they kind of relate?
I wouldn't compare the two because I feel like they're 2 totally different players. I would say like Precious was more offensive. Like he was more, I wouldn't say more of a offensive threat. I think he was more, I forgot, what's the word? He focused, I wouldn't say focus more. I don't know how to compare it to, but he did things offensively that was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? He's an offensive guy who can go get 30 whenever he wanted in high school. And he also played defense. And the same with Cliff. I feel like Cliff was a defensive monster. You know what I'm saying? I felt like in high school there was no better defender or shot blocker in high school basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't necessarily compare the two, but their similarities I would say would be more on the defensive end. So yeah.
When you look at these two guys and all the guys you played against, who was maybe the guy in high school that was your favorite guy to go up against at practice? Was there a guard? Like I said, I mentioned a lot of top guys, but who was maybe that guard that you really enjoyed going up against the most?
Dang, that's a tough question. I never thought of anything like that. Just to be quite honest with you, I just practice really. Like I just always compete. So it's like, geez. Can I do college too?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
All right. Yeah, probably Nate Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy on Xavier who I like to go against in practice. At first, I didn't because I didn't understand his schemes of how he did things. But once I understood like why he does things and how he moves in certain ways and things like that, it became really fun because we were both competitors. We would talk smack to each other, and it's all love at the end of the day. So I would say Nate Johnson.
Absolutely. Well, let's head into that senior year for you then. You make the move to Roselle Catholic, and there's a lot of different characters that probably went to that move, but maybe one of the biggest ones is you get to play with your brother. You guys get 1 year together. Take us through
Yeah.
that. Obviously, I know you guys are the same household, so you guys have to talk about that. But what all went to that decision? Why did you choose Roselle Catholic for your senior year?
Well, essentially, like you said, to play my younger brother. That's something I always wanted to do because my transition into high school wasn't the easiest. And I wanted to make sure his was. So having me, somebody he lives with, somebody you can talk to about anything. At times I helped him control his mental and how he dealt with tough times in high school. So that was my whole goal, was just to make it a little easier for him than it was for me.
And that's obviously evident because we see with a lot of guys, the older brothers, they're kind of free going on with it. You don't really know how to do it. You're kind of walking your own path without an example.
Yeah.
The middle, younger, all their siblings follow them. Sometimes you end up better in the long term because they have the mentor. You kind of help them get everything together and kind of situate them as a role model.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you seen that benefit? Because obviously Simeon's killing out there right now, top ranked player in the country. What's it just been like kind of watching him to develop into what he's become already?
Man, it's amazing. It's amazing. It makes me happy, bro, every day. Like, just to see, because when I see Sim as a kid, like when we were younger, you know what I'm saying? So to see him, his maturation and as a player and as a person and how he handles things. And I see a lot of parts of me in him in terms of like the mentality and how I'm going to go about, how he goes about certain things.
Yep.
It's just amazing to me. And I'm proud of him every single day for it. I tell him I'm proud of him all the time. Just he doesn't even have to do anything. I just tell him I'm proud of him because that's how proud of him I am. You know what I'm saying? Just be able to, for me to be a part of his journey, his process, and to give him tips along the way. It just means a lot to me, and it's good to see.
Just skipping a little bit ahead, but we do know he just got the offer from Nebraska, obviously where you're playing now, and we know that you're going to have a couple more extra years, not just only one possible year to play with him now if you stay to senior year. You could potentially have two now because of all the eligibility rules.
Yeah.
What would that be like if that is something that obviously comes time, that is the right fit, right place for Simeon? What would it be like playing with you two in college together?
I mean, it would be amazing. I feel like it would be just like playing with my senior year of high school. I feel like we'll be better players if and when that time comes. But I just feel like it would be amazing. I'd be able to do the same thing that I did for him my senior year in college. So like, I think that would be dope. It's something I've been talking to him about since I committed. So it'd be dope.
I think it's good how you walk that line. I know it's a fine line. All dads that are coaches are also brothers that kind of walk. Obviously, you want your brother, Sim, you want him to follow the best path for him, but also you have to take the kind of recruiting pitch. You want to kind of recruit him. You'd love to play with him too. Like, how do you kind of walk that recruiter brother role kind of role model line for you?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like I talked to him about playing with me in college, but I wouldn't say I'm a recruiter. I've talked to him about it, but I'm more so of a brother, man. At the end of the day, I want what's best for him.
Yeah.
And if him playing with me in college is not what's best for him, then that's not what I want. Then you know what I'm saying. So I wouldn't say I'm a recruiter. I would say I'm more of a big brother.
Without doubt. Let's head into that freshman year for you in college because you obviously make the move. You go into Xavier, and originally, like I said, you had Nebraska, which probably would have been your second option, but Xavier's where you choose. Take us to that first choice though. Why was Coach Steele the one program you want to go with?
In the relationships.
100%.
Just the relationships I built with these guys. Here. This is amazing. It's literally something I carry on for the rest of my life, not to be cheesy or anything. These are some coaches here are great guys. Built great relationships with the coaches and my teammates. So recruiting process was all about for me committed, it was all about the relationships and development process. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? I got better as a player and then built great relationships with these guys. So.
As a whole, you guys did, as you said earlier, had a lot of bumps in the road throughout the course of the year. There was COVID, different stuff happened, injuries throughout the course. How did you manage that? Because I know a lot of countries did that too, but you personally, how do you guys deal with the injuries, the COVID? Like, how did you guys deal with all this coming together?
I mean, it was tough. From the start of the season, I got put in quarantine 5 times. And since September, I've been in quarantine 8 times. So, I mean, that was tough to trying to be able to compete at a high level after being out for 20 days. Like I missed me and Kobe missed the first 5 games of the season because we were in quarantine. So, I mean, that's tough. Just you mentally preparing and for that first game of college. And then that first game doesn't happen the first game of the season for our team. It was kind of tough, but you know what I'm saying? it's about how you respond to adversity. You know what I'm saying? You can't conform to it. So I mean, we just responded. You know what I'm saying? At times we did go through tough times, but as everybody does, you know what I'm saying? It's just how you responded to adversity. And I feel like at times we did respond to adversity pretty well, but then we let adversity beat us. So
Overall, you guys finished over 500, 13-8. Overall, pretty solid year, even with all the adversity that came in. But kind of take us through your own personal role. Obviously, you got one start of the year, ended up playing 15 games. But how did you kind of develop and get used to the college world throughout the course of your freshman year?
I think it was more so mental. Just I had to learn how to stay true to myself because I can't be anybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's just impossible for me to be successful being somebody else or acting in a way that's not in my norm. So I think that was more of the thing for me. And once I realized that, I mean, everything went uphill for me, in a sense, because I got that first start and minutes started to go up toward the last few games of the season. So I mean, once I got a hang of my mental and how things go, I think I was good.
A couple guys in that locker room were pretty special. You already talked about Nate a little bit, but a couple of the guys, Paul, Zach from Mantle, too, were big time players. What was it kind of learning from those guys?
I think it was great to learn from Nate and Paul, those two specifically, because those guys been in college for 4 or 5 years. So them just giving me tips on their based off their experiences and things like that was good for me in terms of, and also it was also good for me to help me learn the system here. And then as skill set wise, I mean, Nate was the best shooter in the country. So it's just like getting tips for him, the mental part of it. It was more, everything was more so mental, how to control my mental space. And yeah, it was great learning from those two guys, man.
So now you're practically heading to Nebraska as theoretically a freshman, a redshirt freshman to a degree. How much better are you, though? How much better this 1 year of basketball, playing some games, but just getting around these guys? Like, how much better are you now than opposed from a year ago?
I think I'm way better now, just from a confidence standpoint, because like I know I can play at this level. I know I can play at the high level, and then I've always thought I could, but to have that affirmation from not only in games but in practices as well, just gave me a lot of confidence, and also skill set wise, I feel like I'm a totally different player than I was in high school. You know, I feel like I could shoot it from deeper. I could move better. I've gotten more athletic, so in that sense, I've gotten better as well. So yeah, I think I'm way better than I was in high school. And on top of that, my body's changed like tenfold. It's been totally different. The workouts, the physical part of it was big for me in terms of changing my body and toning up and getting strong and things like that. So yeah.
I have heard that the past year has been a lot harder to do freshman pranks on freshmen because of all the protocols. But did you, Colby, Dewan, did any of you guys have any kind of freshman pranks done to you guys with the course this year?
Nah, no freshman pranks.
For sure. So the season comes to a close then, and you obviously put your name in the portal. A couple of weeks later, days later, you end up going to Nebraska. But what led to that decision? Like, why did you originally want to put your name in the portal, and why did you decide that it's time to make a different decision now?
I'm gonna start out by saying I mean I enjoyed my time here at Xavier, man. Like I said before, I built great relationships with people, not only basketball but off the court as well. There's friendships I'll take on forever. But I think my family ended up deciding to put my name in the portal because it's one of the opportunity to be able to play my game to its fullest. You know what I'm saying? Just be me, be able to play as freely or play as mentally free as I did before. You know what I'm saying? That's just who I am. That's just how I play. I feel like that's the essence of my game. So I think me putting my name in the portal and exploring my options was the best for me.
So what is the full CJ? What is the full thing that Nebraska fans can expect from you?
Let me start off as a person. I mean, I'm a pretty chill guy. I grind, like I said before. I'm all about the work, so I'm always going to work. I'm a team guy. I'm a leader. I bring good energy, stay positive at all times. But if I were to find myself as a person, I say I'm a leader, a hard worker, and I feel like I bring a lot of dimensions to the table in that sense. And as a player, I feel like I've experienced what it's like winning championships. Of course, not at this level, but at the highest level in high school basketball, in my opinion. And I feel like I embody that culture, just being a guy who goes in, hard-nosed guy who's going to compete. I feel like I can score the ball at all three levels. I can really shoot the ball. So yeah, I feel like I make plays. I'm a good rebounder. I'm a team guy, like I said before, so I'm not selfish. I won't jack up a bunch of shots. You know what I'm saying? I'll make the right plays and things like that. So I feel like that's what I bring to the table.
I mentioned earlier, obviously this wasn't the best year for last year. A lot of fans could have obviously wanted a lot more than last year they produced, but what's it going to take now? What's it going to take for Nebraska to get back on top or start competing in the Big Ten? Like, what's it going to take to get us back on competing again?
I would say just getting that feel back. You know what I'm saying? Just getting that feel of it from the team per se. You know what I'm saying? Just having that energy, that mentality. We're gonna go out and grind this game out. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're playing the best team in the conference or the worst team in the conference, is just having that consistent mindset of just, all right, I'm gonna execute the system. I'm gonna make the right plays, knock down shots when I'm open, things like that. So I feel like that would be the step for us.
I know there's a lot of the rumors, different guys in the mix right now that Nebraska's looking at bringing in. Are there guys that you're specifically hearing a lot about? The guys that you want to play with? Like, who's some guys you might be recruiting? Like, kind of take us through that whole aspect of who are the guys we could possibly be seeing in Nebraska next year?
Um, I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't really been on Twitter really. Like I posted my little thing on Twitter, but I'm not really on Twitter heavily.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know who they were bringing in, but I'm just ready for whoever they bring in. And I'm pretty sure they would be too. We'll be able to come in and just try to win games, man. That's the whole goal.
So I don't really got to see too much of Coach Hoiberg on the court being coached yet, but I'm just talking to him so far. Like, what's he just like off the court? What's his personality like? Can I take us to Coach Hoiberg off the court?
Oh, I mean, I've had a few conversations with Coach Hoiberg. I would say he's like the definition of professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just in terms of how he talks and how he carries himself, and based on my experiences with him. It seems like he's a cool guy, somebody who's easy to learn from, simply because, well, not only because he's played and coached at that high level, and also because of how he carries himself. So, yeah, that's what I'd say about it.
What other schools were in the mix for you? I know obviously Nebraska's where you're going, but was there any other school you were heavily considering once you put your name in the portal?
Honestly, I mean, not really. I mean, a few schools reached out to me. Iowa State reached out to me like the day after I told the coaches I was going to go there. Mm-hmm. But like I said before, they were like my top two, and Xavier was my number one. So I mean, coming out of high school, so it kind of just went well for me in that sense.
As we talked about earlier, you are from New Jersey, and we know there's a certain mentality comes from that, certain pride that guys have from coming from that area. How do you apply your college life and going to different states? Like, what does it mean to define New Jersey basketball?
I don't think anybody from New Jersey like goes into basketball games or practices or goes into any state thinking like, all right, I'm from New Jersey, I have to carry myself a certain way. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just embedded in us, just to carry ourselves this type of way and be able to compete at a high level. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's how the essence of who we are. You know what I'm saying? It's just competitors, guys who win basketball games, extremely talented. So yeah, I think that's just who we are. I don't think anybody from New Jersey, I can say, who goes to anywhere they play and it's like, all right, I'm from this place, so I got to stick up to these standards. I think it's just who we are.
Without a doubt. Well, a few more things before I let you go. One of which is talk about your family a little bit. Because we talk about Simeon, we know he's a great player. Your dad also played college basketball at Morgan State. Kind of get through this though. What's it just been like growing up in a basketball family?
I wouldn't say we're a basketball family. I would say we're an athletic family. You know, me, Sim, my oldest brother, we started out running track. After the shot put, I was number 5 in the country in shot put when I was like 9, 10. So I would say we were an athletic family. We always were around sports. You know, I started playing basketball when I was about 8. Sim started playing basketball at like 6. My brother played football, basketball, ran track. So we just like an athletic family. So just being in that household, just like I said, it's the reason why I am who I am. You know what I'm saying? We're all athletic. We all grinders. We all work hard because, like I said before, the work never fails. So it's just always been a part of our family as a whole. My mom was an athlete. My mom played basketball, ran track. So it's just I mean, I would say it's a blessing to have a family like that. Just having that background, just having a set of values and the things we stand 10 toes on. You know what I'm saying? To create kids like they have, like me and my brothers. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's great. Honestly, I'm happy that my parents had me, I guess.
So what do these family games look like? You guys get on the court, you guys play out king of the court, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Like, what do these games look like?
I mean, honestly, we don't really compete like that. Simply because like I never was big on like me playing one-on-one with Sim, you know, because I never saw the point of it. You know, I feel like my job is to be a big brother and guide them and give them tips and things like that when we work out, when we play together. Now, of course, we do play one-on-ones occasionally, but it's never to like, oh yeah, we went to the backyard and I just killed him or things like that. It was never to that degree. But I just feel like my job as a big brother is to be a big brother. You know what I'm saying? Give them tips, and guide them and things like that. So we was never big on one-on-ones and 2-on-2s and things like that.
When you think of Sim, what's the first memory that comes to mind, either on the court, off the court? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about him?
Man, first thing. Exciting. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's exciting because one, you never know what you expect. You can't. I mean, you never know what you're gonna get out of Sim in terms of like his potential, his attitude for the day. So like, I mean, it's exciting. I'm excited to see where he ends up, skill wise, things like that. I'm just excited for his process to continue to grow, for him to continue to grow. I was excited to be able to have good conversations with him and for him to grow up and we can have to the point where we can have conversations outside of basketball. It's bigger than basketball, bigger than ourselves. You know, I'm just excited to continue to grow with him.
What is the funniest story you two have had together?
Funniest story? Shoot, there's a lot of them, but one that just came to mind when we were younger. We said we lived in an apartment, and like I said, my brother played football. Sim played football. My dad coached football, and my mom was like the team mom for every team, honestly. So she had a bunch of football equipment. So me and Sim used to like put shoulder pads on the helmets and tackle each other in the living room and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll probably be one of the best memories I have with him.
I know your dad also, everyone talks about, always is super engaged in the games. He's always celebrating you guys with everything. We saw, especially when you had that one pass to Simeon for his first points ever. What's just like having a dad that's out there always supporting you guys vocally, physically? You just see him out there. What's it kind of having that kind of supporting dad?
Well, I'm gonna start off. At first, I was kind of like weirded out by it, like, why are you acting like that? But then, as I got older and our relationship started to grow, I appreciated to be on this world. You know, just to have somebody who I know who constantly has my back. I know I don't need anybody other than him. You know what I'm saying? Like if he's backing me, I know I'm straight. You know, so just being able to have somebody who's a confidant for me, who's my biggest critic. You know what I'm saying? My biggest fan, always honest with me. You know, let me know where I stand every single day. I mean, that's just amazing. It's just like there'll be times where I would like be upset at him, but then hindsight being 2020, I appreciate it because I wouldn't be who I am right now because of that. So, I mean, it's great to have somebody like that in my corner.
Absolutely. Well, it's like wrapping up discussing your legacy, and we know your next step now is leaving a legacy in Nebraska. So when you leave Nebraska in 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it's going to look like eventually, what do you ultimately want to remember for? What do you want your legacy to be for what you get done both on and off the court at Nebraska?
Honestly, I just want my legacy to be, I just want people to see me as more than just a basketball player. You know, I feel like I bring more. There's so many. I feel like there's a lot of dimensions in my character that just helps me as a basketball player. Of course, I want to win Big East championships, and compete for national championships and make it deep into the tournament. But at the end of the day, basketball is going to end one day for me. So, I mean, I'll be a man longer than I am a basketball player. So, I just want my legacy to not only be from the basketball court, just me as a person and in the community of Nebraska.
Absolutely. No. Final thing for you, give Nebraska fans your 3 biggest goals you have set for your Nebraska career.
I don't really know. I didn't really say. I mean, my goals are really the same. Just to win high level games, win win Big Ten championships, compete at a high level, and make it deep into the tournament, compete for national championship.
Absolutely, man. I definitely appreciate taking time to come on today, crossing the decision again, and I look forward to seeing what guy got next week, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Welcome on, man. God bless.
Likewise.